What's up, everyone? April here. I'm back at you with another Power Platform News Rewind, but this time it's a special Microsoft Ignite edition. Microsoft Ignite just wrapped up yesterday, and we had a ton of Power Platform related news and announcements. So let's get started and rewind all the Power Platform announcements from Microsoft Ignite. Now, this one had to be first on the list, and that is the announcements of new consumption-based pricing for Power Apps. As you can imagine, licensing for the Power Platform is a highly talked about and debated topic, and the need and the want for consumption-based licensing for Power Apps has been around for a while. So many of us rejoiced when they announced this at Microsoft Ignite this year. This is what they're referring to as pay-as-you-go licensing for Power Apps. And this is available to use in preview today. We can now use our Azure subscriptions to pay for our Power Apps and our Dataverse costs based on actual usage. So I see a lot of good use cases for this new consumption-based or pay-as-you-go licensing, whatever you want to call it. One is testing the waters. So with the traditional licensing approach, we had to pay for a per user per month license to be able to let our users use the Power Apps that we built. That required significant investment up front though. So what if maybe you're building something and you're not sure how many people exactly would be using it or if it's even going to take off? So this gives us a way to sort of, I guess you could say, test the waters of an application that we're building in Power Apps, see if it's going to take off, and then maybe at some point it would make sense to move to a license, per user license based scenario, depending on the capacity and the amount of usage of the application. But in the meantime, we can use this consumption-based approach to really test the waters. And then the other big fit, I think, for this consumption-based licensing approach for Power Apps is when we talk about deploying applications at scale. So say you have a large user base for your company and you need to be able to deploy an HR-based Power App application to every one of your, say, 10,000 employees in your company. But the problem is, you're not sure how many people in your company will actually be using your application. So maybe a very small subset of those 10,000 employees will actually be using it. And then those using it might only be using it on a very occasional basis. So even though you need to make this available to all of your employees, the people actually using it might be significantly lower. So it doesn't make sense to really have to give individual license for all 10,000 of your employees when maybe only 2,000 of them might actually be using this on any kind of regular basis. So that's where a consumption model like this would really make sense. And it's also easier if you're building Power Apps already that have other Azure integrations. It makes it a little bit more streamlined to be able to just use your Azure consumption and your Azure subscription for that rather than having to worry about additional licensing. So definitely some use cases for this, but also there's definitely going to be use cases where you still want to use the traditional per user license as well. But it's really great to have these options for different scenarios. So super excited about this, and you can start using it today. All right, the next big one here is we're moving more towards a true co-development experience. Now, this has been baby steps. You might have recalled in my previous Power Platform Rewind, I mentioned in Power Automate, we have the ability recently to have co-presence inside of a flow. Now we're starting to see some of that work its way into our Power Apps applications, and how it's starting out is with the ability to have two people or more people in it at the same time and making comments. So Julie Strauss showed a great demo of this. I believe Ryan Cunningham did as well at Ignite, walking through this new commenting experience that we have in our Canvas and our new model-driven experience applications. So no longer when we go and open up a Power App will we get that dreaded, this application is locked because X user is in it. We can actually have more than one person in the app at the same time and take advantage of some commenting. So right now it's kind of limited to the commenting functionality and being able to just have more than one person in there at least making comments, but it's not a true co-authoring quite yet. The co-authoring is going to start more on the pro dev side, where we can maybe pull in and integrate from Git into Power Apps and co-author that way. But this is the writing on the wall that true co-authoring is going to see its way into the product eventually, and it's a great start with this new commenting feature. Super excited for this one. Now, the other one that I'm pretty excited about, and this is another one that's been pretty highly requested, is the ability to package your Power Apps as native mobile applications. So what this means is when we're deploying our Power Apps applications to our iOS or Android devices, we had to install first the Power Apps application for that device, and all the apps that we built were hosted in the shell of the Power Apps application. Now, that's fine, but oftentimes you might want a more streamlined experience where it looks truly like a native application on your device. So that's what this new functionality is enabling us to do. We're no longer bound to having that shell of the Power Apps application loaded and launching our applications from that way. We can actually deploy these through our iOS and Android app stores and install them that way. Now, important thing to note here, this is not bypassing any of the current licensing restrictions, right? This is not a way to allow, anonymous users to be able to access your Power Apps Canvas applications. We're still going to have to log in with your credentials into your tenant and be able to get into your environment to access the app that way. This is simply giving us a way to package up our Power Apps applications and make them seem more like a native standalone application inside of your mobile devices, but still very cool. It helps us as well maybe have a more streamlined branding experience for our applications here. And there are multiple ways to distribute this. You can use Microsoft Endpoint Manager or any MDM solution really for that matter. Julie Strauss showed a demo of this in her session at Ignite where she walked through how to install this through the Microsoft App Center. So definitely check out her Ignite session, which I'll put a link to here in the video comments if you want to see more of this in action. Now the next big one actually has to do with a tool that's been around for years and years that we've probably all used at some point in our lives, and that's Microsoft Access. So love it or hate it, Microsoft Access has been around for years and it's still very commonly used for some critical business data. And all the Access users out there have really been wanting some more integration within the Power Platform so that they can do things like have mobile applications or maybe integrate within Microsoft Teams. So they've announced at Ignite that they released some Access integration with Dataverse. So now we can take our Access database, sync that up with inside of Dataverse, and now that all that data is being able to be synced up into Dataverse, we can use it in all of our Power Platform applications, whether it's a Power Apps Canvas app, model-driven app, a Dataverse for Teams inside a Microsoft Teams application, a virtual agent, a workflow, Power BI, all of that. We can use that seamlessly with this new Access integration. So there's going to be streamlined migration from Access into Dataverse, and that's going to all sync back up to your Access database as well. There was a good session on this. It kind of walked through how this works in action, which again, I'll put a link to here in the video notes so that you can watch that later on. And next up, there are some great new AI Builder related announcements that I wanted to make sure to touch on. One of the most exciting is we can now bring our own models into AI Builder. So these models can be hosted in any cloud, and once the model is registered, you can bring those into AI Builder. And once it's registered there in AI Builder, we can use that in all of our Power Platform applications. So this will really allow us to build even richer AI experiences inside of our Power Platform apps. And along the same lines here of being able to bring our own models, they also announced that there's integration with Microsoft Lobe. If you haven't checked out Lobe, definitely give it a try, and I'll put a link to check that out there in the video description as well. But Lobe is a free application that Microsoft offers that you can download and build image classification models on your computer. So it gives you a way to add and label images, and then Lobe can actually go automatically train your machine to identify those. And it creates a custom machine learning model for you. And now with this integration, we can easily upload our Lobe AI models into AI Builder. You can't get your hands on this Lobe integration quite yet, but they do say it will be available in select regions by the end of this month. And keeping on with the AI Builder topic, we can now use AI in Power Apps with PowerFX. Now, up until now, the only way that we can interact with AI Builder and Power Apps is through some of the pre-built controls inside of our apps. So we had the Object Recognizer control, for example, or the business card reader. Now, obviously this works, but we're a little bit limited in the ways that we could really customize this. Now we're able to interact directly with PowerFX. So as you see here in this screenshot, we have an image classification object. We're able to, in PowerFX, directly call the predict action, pass it in an image that we have through our media control on our app, and then it returns a prediction of, in this case, is there a dent in this image? So pretty cool new functionality to be able to directly interact with our AI with PowerFX. And the last thing here that I want to touch on AI Builder that was announced was new capacity. So traditionally, if we wanted to use AI Builder in our applications, we had to get a free trial, which would expire, and then we would have to pay for additional AI Builder capacity. But to help make it easier to get started, now Microsoft is giving us some included AI Builder capacity in our licensing. So now with our Power Apps per application license, which is $5 per app per month per user, we get 250 AI Builder credits. Then if we're using the Power Apps per user license, which is $20 a user a month for unlimited apps, we get 500 AI Builder credits. And you can control and see these credits in the Power Platform Admin Center, and they do need to be assigned to an individual environment to be able to use those. But the other thing they announced is they're going to make this a little bit more seamless to be able to assign these licenses. So starting in December, they're going to be consumable in any environment without any admin action involved. All right, and the last two are more on the Fusion Dev, traditional dev experience standpoint. Now this one was pretty cool to me. I don't know if you all have heard about GitHub Codespaces, but we now have the ability to interact with the Power Platform extension and tools within GitHub Codespaces. So with GitHub Codespaces, it actually gives us a way to interact and work with Visual Studio Code natively in our browser without even having to open up the application on our computer. So that means any developer anywhere on any device can work with Visual Studio Code, and now with the Power Platform CLI and all of that, thanks to the Power Platform extension for VS Code. And finally, we have API management integration. So you've heard me talk about API management integration with Power Platform quite a bit. If we're talking about building custom connectors and integrating with other APIs that we might have, Azure API Management is a great place to host those APIs. And to make this story even more compelling, they did release some more fine-tuned integration within API Management and being able to produce custom connectors to consume within our Power Platform applications. So there's a nice new simplified process directly through Azure API Management where we never have to leave the portal there, and we can easily create and configure our custom connectors. All right, well, that's a wrap for the Microsoft Ignite November 2021 Power Platform News Rewind. I hope you're as excited about all these Power Platform announcements as I am. Be sure to keep track of my channel. I'll be doing some deeper dive videos on some of these concepts in the future, so definitely check that out. And make sure you look at the description here because I'll have links to some of these Ignite sessions that you'll want to check out. Big shout out to my colleague Homolomo Mojave who did the Learn Live session with me on building the Power Apps UI. The session was great. He did an amazing job. And thank you for everyone that attended that as well. And if you're curious about what Power Platform announcements you might have missed in the previous month, check out my Power Platform News Rewind from last month. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.